which leads again to this trust aspect.
Yes. My ex-wife basically was not the most trusting person to start with. She was rather insecure, even though I helped get her through college and get her life on track how she wanted to go. But she was always insecure, and and the biggest problem I had about trying to apply this lifestyle was because her mother had been walked all over. So she just simply refused. She just felt if I was in control, that meant I was going to walk all over her, and she just simply refused to do so.
As for your current situation now, you're remarried and such.
Yes.
Did that situation come from being involved in this community?
Oh, yes. Yes. This is when I was living down in North Carolina, and I was a single male at this time. So what I was doing, I previously had some submissives in the past, but it was nothing really that I wanted. The ones that I had were more like a girlfriend you have after a divorce or something like that. What I had started doing is I figured, well, I've been in this lifestyle a long time. I started just training people, whether to be how to use some of the tools or be a dominant, or some of the things about submissive, what a dominant's going to look for to help a submissive become a better one. It's just educate people. My wife, well, actually, I had an internet ad that I do train people, that I will take time to explain the lifestyle, that there has to be no physical involvement. I'll be a person just to answer somebody's questions if they even have questions. So she actually contacted me because of the lifestyle, and we corresponded for months before we ever even met. Just she had a lot of questions. She was vaguely familiar about the lifestyle, but she needed more answers. So I spent my time, I would answer. And that's some of the things I do yet today.
That training situation, do you train people to be both roles or one particular?
I can train people how to either play top or bottom, but there's a difference between playing at one thing or another, or being a dominant or a submissive. My beliefs are that people have certain characteristics. They either have a dominant characteristic or a submissive characteristic. They don't always know exactly which one they are. I can't teach somebody to be a dominant. I can teach somebody how to play a dominant if they're not one. I can't teach somebody to be a submissive if they're not submissive, but I can teach them how to play a bottom. But for people that are such as a true dominant, there's certain ways you can train them to help bring it to the surface, to help focus it the same way with a submissive. One of the things about a dominant, if I'm training one of them, my biggest issues are they have to learn to control themselves, because especially if they're into the BDSM side, because they can hurt people, hurt them bad, and if they're not control themselves, if they don't learn how to control their tempers, they don't know what they're doing, they will hurt people. So a lot of it is mental training that you really have to do with a dominant. It isn't the idea, how to use a flogger, because personally you can teach any monkey to use a flogger, but it's how to not damage people, not to damage them emotionally, not to damage them physically. You have to always be concerned with the person you're with. Submissives, to be honest, the biggest thing you have to work with them on is patience. There's two chuckles going on over here, but that's true. They will verify that. Because they want to know so much, they want to learn so much and experience so much. but you can overwhelm them, you can hurt them, and the idea, the object of a submissive, if somebody wants to live in this lifestyle, submissive is, the purpose is to anticipate and please whoever they're dominant. Now, that sounds easy, but that's hard as blazes to do. It takes an awful lot to be a submissive. It takes more trust for a submissive to submit to somebody, because especially if they're in the BDSM side, they can be hurt terribly. They gotta, if they're certain things that they do can cause emotional distress. Whereas a dominant, he has to make sure that the submissive is going to be safe. He has to try to know the submissive well enough, because it's amazing how many people are in this lifestyle, and you find out things about them that will give them flashbacks. That will damage them emotionally. Or some people are in this lifestyle that really shouldn't be in this lifestyle. They're so used to being abused even from the time they were a child that you really need to recommend them to, well, you actually need professional help. You might not actually be in this lifestyle. It's just that they're conditioned to be certain ways. Dominant's got to try to recognize that, and a lot of them don't, to be very honest. But a submissive has to trust so strongly, so much, and to be so willing to open herself up, to open up even old wounds to somebody. It takes a lot of strength to do that. The submissive is not a weak person. I have a lot of respect for my wife, who is my submissive. A tremendous amount of respect. She is one of the strongest women I know. She could survive without me. Maybe not very well, because she'd miss me, but she could do all right. She would survive very well. Let's see. Okay, next question.